What up? This is Dart Adams. This is my living room. These are my MacBooks. That's my table. I used to do a lot of these on IG TV, but that shit's dead. So now I'm doing this here. I used to have to do a lot of these to clear up misconceptions about release dates or misinformation. 2 years ago to the day, I did one about De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising not being released on March 3rd, 1989. Also, I have to add that Criminal Minded wasn't released 35 years ago today. I have dates anywhere from April 7th, 1987, which was also a Tuesday, up through May 1987, right either 2 weeks or a week before LL Cool J released Bigger and Deffer. I believe Criminal Minded was released on a Tuesday, and Bigger and Deffer, I think, was released on a Friday in late May. May 29th, sometime around there. Anyway, neither here nor there. This is about De La Soul. So I've spent the last, it's 2022 now, so I've probably spent the last at least since 2014 telling people that De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising wasn't released on March 3rd, 1989. It couldn't have been. And I knew it wasn't because I looked for the date it entered the top black album charts. And I realized that from the date it entered the top black album charts, it's impossible for it to have been released March 3rd, 1989. We'll get to that. Now I'm going to walk through all the steps that prove De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising was not out or released on March 3rd, 1989. It was already out. Bear with me. What we're looking at is an issue of Billboard, the top black albums. And the whole top part is an advertisement for De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising, available on Tommy Boy albums, cassettes, and compact discs TB 1019. Okay? See it? Now look at the date. February 18th, 1989. If in the February 18th, 1989 issue of Billboard, there's an ad stating that De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising is available for sale on Tommy Boy albums, cassettes, and compact discs, it's impossible for it to have been released on March 3rd, 1989. It's impossible. It's already out. It was out by February. I'm going to continue. This is the February 24th, 1989 issue of Black Radio Exclusive, BRE. This right here is a collection of albums that have recently been released that have been recommended. The first one, K9 Posse Arista. The next one, Kwame featuring A New Beginning, The Boy Genius on Atlantic. The next one, Massachusetts legend Terry Lynn Carrington, Real Life Story. She's from Medford, Mass. Boston legend. De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising, Tommy Boy. This is probably the deepest, most creative, and highly intelligent hip-hop album ever recorded. In fact, we can safely say that, indeed, the record transcends the genre itself. Aside from the previously released cuts, Jennifer and Plug Tuning, the album has over an hour's worth of absolutely smoking cuts. I Know takes a bite out of Steely Dan, and Buddy features the Jungle Brothers. Check out Ghetto Thang too, produced by Prince Paul. Demos, young adults, teens, dancers. That says February 24th, 1989. In my experience, they were usually a week late with some of these recommendations. So likely this could have been in the February 17th issue, but it made it to the 24th, meaning that it was out by early February. Let's go one more. This is the top black albums chart. March 11th, 1989. And if you look, you see new. De La Soul, 54th. 3 Feet High and Rising. It says Tommy Boy 1019 898 CD. Now, I need to explain something to you. If this album was released on March 3rd, 1989, it's impossible for it to have entered the top black albums chart in 8 days. When they print, they need weeks, 10 days of sales in order to go to the press. And you have the week before. So you have a week of sales, and then they print, and then you have a week of sales, and you have a week of sales. So usually if you release your album, you have to wait 3 billboards before your album is eligible to enter, usually, based on sales. And also, black albums reported sooner than everybody else in Billboard back in that time. So oftentimes a rap album, which had less publicity and took longer to catch on, would enter the top black albums at a later date than what it usually did, unless it was somebody who sold a lot, like let's say a LL Cool J or a Run DMC, what have you. Now, we've been through that, right? I have this book by Ben Merlis, Going Off, Cold Chillin' Records, The Story of the Juice Crew. If we go to page 199, in it, this is Monica Lynch talking about getting a cease and desist letter from Steely Dan on Facebook. Not very long ago, when homeboy from Steely Dan died, I posted the letter we had received from, I guess it was MCA Music Publishing. It was a cease and desist for the usage of a Steely Dan song on De La Soul. What's funny is they didn't even spell Donald Fagen's name right on the letter, dated February 23rd, 1989. Now, I don't know about you, but in 1989, they didn't have time machines. I know Back to the Future was set in 1985, but there were no time machines in 1989. Therefore, how can you send a letter, cease and desist letter, regarding a sample on an album, not a single, an album that wasn't out? So the album had to be out by February 23rd, 1989. Somebody had to catch it and then send a letter and date it February 23rd, 1989. Lord knows when she got it. So all of these things point to De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising not being released March 3rd, 1989. On top of it, the last piece of evidence I have, Dante Ross and I were going back and forth forever about when 3 Feet High and Rising was released. And he was like, well, let's ask Monica. Monica has all the records. So on IG, it's me, Dante Ross, and Monica Lynch going back and forth in the comment section about when De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising was released. And Monica finally says, you know what? Let me check some of these records or some of this memorabilia I have. She goes and she finds a postcard, I believe. And the postcard said ship date. It was either said February 6th, February 7th. And I was like, damn. Because I had said on on IG video that I suspected that the album was released either January 24th, 1989 or January 31st, 1989. I was wrong because it was another week. So if it says ship date or shipping on the 6th, likely that meant that February 7th would have been the release date, because I believe that February 14th, 1989 is possibly the release date for the single Me, Myself, and I. Again, not solid, but it's thereabouts. But what I'm saying is March 3rd, 1989 is not the release date of De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising. And March 3rd, 1987 is also not the release date of Criminal Minded by Boogie Down Productions on B-Boy / Rock Candy Records and Film Works. It's just not. I'm going to find the date. Closest thing I've seen is something that says April 7th. I suspect it was in May. We'll find out eventually, one day.